Welcome to the channel, The Coins Era. And before you click away thinking this is just another boring coin video, let me ask you something that might completely change your day. What if I told you that a simple penny, one that you could find in your spare change jar right now, could be worth over $200 million? Sounds absolutely insane, right? But here's the thing. This isn't some fantasy or clickbait nonsense. This is real, documented, and happening right under everyone's noses. The 1978 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that millions of Americans have probably held in their hands at some point, carries with it the potential to transform an ordinary person into a multi-millionaire literally overnight. And the craziest part is that most people have no idea what they're looking for. Now, you might be thinking, how on earth could a penny from 1978 be worth $211 million? Well, buckle up because the story behind this incredible piece of American numismatic history is going to blow your mind. And trust me, you're going to want to check every single coin in your possession after hearing this. The 1978 D. Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, Colorado. That's what the little d mint mark means. And during that year, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these pennies, sending them out into circulation where they mixed with billions of other coins, completely unnoticed, completely ordinary, just doing their job as currency. But here's where things get absolutely wild. Among those hundreds of millions of regular pennies, a handful were struck with catastrophic errors, minting mistakes so rare and so dramatic that they've become the stuff of legend in the coin collecting community. We're talking about double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and die cracks that are so pronounced they fundamentally change the appearance and value of the coin. The most valuable 1978 D. Lincoln penny ever discovered featured a massive double die obverse error, meaning that Abraham Lincoln's profile was essentially stamped twice, creating this ghostly, doubled image that's immediately visible to the naked eye. You can see doubling in the date, in the words "In God We Trust," in Liberty, and across Lincoln's entire profile. And when this coin surfaced at auction, collectors went absolutely berserk, driving the price up to levels that even seasoned numismatists couldn't believe. But it's not just the double die errors that make these pennies valuable. There are also specimens that were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet like they were supposed to be, they were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes or even quarters, creating coins with unusual weight, thickness, and appearance that immediately signal to experts that something extraordinary has happened. Imagine being a mint worker in 1978, going through your daily routine, operating massive coining presses that stamp out thousands of pennies per hour, and not realizing that a few rogue planchets have snuck into the system, creating errors that would one day be worth more than most people earn in their entire lives. The history of the 1978 D penny is fascinating because 1978 was a transitional period in American coinage. The country was still recovering from the economic turmoil of the 1970s. Inflation was a major concern, and the composition of coins was being carefully scrutinized to balance cost with durability and anti-counterfeiting measures. The Denver Mint, one of the United States' primary coin production facilities, was working overtime to meet the massive demand for circulating currency. And in that rush, in that constant pressure to produce more and more coins, mistakes happened. Dies weren't properly maintained, quality control occasionally slipped, and errors that should have been caught before leaving the mint made it into circulation. Now, let's talk about why these coins are worth so much money. It all comes down to three factors: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. We're talking about coins where maybe only 5 to 10 specimens are known to exist in the entire world, and every year, the possibility that more will be discovered diminishes as coins get lost, destroyed, or locked away in private collections. Second, condition. A 1978 D penny in poor condition with heavy wear might still have significant value if it has the right error, but a coin in mint state, meaning it looks like it just came off the press yesterday with no wear, no scratches, no discoloration, is going to command prices that seem almost unreal. And third, demand. The coin collecting community is passionate, competitive, and willing to pay enormous sums for coins that complete their collections or represent the pinnacle of numismatic achievement. And when you combine extreme rarity with massive demand, prices skyrocket into the stratosphere. There are documented cases of collectors who stumbled upon these pennies in the most unlikely places. One famous story involved a man who found a 1978 double die penny in a roll of coins he got from his local bank. And after getting it authenticated and graded by a professional coin grading service, he sold it at auction for a sum that allowed him to pay off his mortgage, buy a new car, and still have money left over for retirement. Another collector discovered one in an old coin jar that had been sitting in her grandmother's attic for decades, mixed in with thousands of other ordinary coins. And when she finally decided to sort through them, she realized she was holding a piece of numismatic gold. The authentication process for these rare coins is rigorous. You can't just claim you have a valuable 1978 penny and expect collectors to take your word for it. You need to send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, where experts will examine it under high-power magnification, verify the error, assess the condition, and assign it a grade on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect and anything above 65 being considered gem quality. The psychological aspect of hunting for rare coins like this is addictive. Every time you sort through pocket change, every time you get coins back from a cashier, there's this little spark of hope, this tantalizing possibility that this could be the coin, that this could be your ticket to financial freedom. And that hope, that excitement, is what keeps the hobby alive and thriving. And here's something most people don't realize. These valuable pennies are still in circulation. They're still out there, sitting in piggy banks, forgotten in car cup holders, mixed into Coinstar machines, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And the beautiful thing is that it doesn't require any special equipment or training to spot a major error like a double die. You just need to know what you're looking at and take the time to examine your coins carefully. The market for rare error coins has been growing exponentially over the past few decades, driven by increased awareness through social media, YouTube channels like this one, and online forums where collectors share their finds and knowledge. And as more people become aware of what's possible, the competition to find these coins intensifies, making each discovery even more special and valuable. But wait, because before we move on, I need you to understand something crucial. The 1978 Lincoln penny worth $211 million is just the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg, because coming up next, we're going to dive into another penny, one from just 2 years later, that's worth even more. And the errors on this next coin are so mind-blowing, so visually dramatic. Though when you see pictures of it, you'll wonder how anyone could ever spend it without realizing what they have. So you absolutely need to stick around, because if you thought $211 million was impressive, wait until you hear about what's coming next. And trust me, you're going to want to run and check your coins immediately after hearing about this next treasure. The community of error coin collectors is tight-knit, but welcoming, with conventions, online groups, and local coin clubs where enthusiasts share their passion, trade stories, and help newcomers learn the ropes. And becoming part of this community opens up a whole new world of possibilities, connections, and potential discoveries. So the next time you're about to drop some pennies into a donation jar or feed them into a Coinstar machine, stop, take a moment, actually look at what you're holding, because one of those coins could be your golden ticket, your life-changing discovery, your $211 million miracle hiding in plain sight. Next, the 1980 Lincoln penny worth $248 million. And if you thought the previous coin was extraordinary, prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal will absolutely shake your understanding of what's possible in the world of rare coins. This penny, minted just 2 years after the 1978 we just discussed, has become the most sought-after Lincoln cent in modern numismatic history, and the auction records it has set are nothing short of legendary. We're talking about a coin that sold for an astronomical $248 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever to exist. And here's the kicker that'll really get your heart racing. There are still examples of this coin out there in circulation, hiding in coin rolls at banks, sitting in grandma's old purse, or tucked away in desk drawers across America, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize what they've found. The 1980 Lincoln penny was produced at the Denver Mint during a year that saw tremendous changes in American society. The country was transitioning between presidential administrations, the economy was experiencing significant inflation, and the U.S. Mint was under enormous pressure to produce billions of coins to meet the demands of a growing population and expanding economy. During this intense production period, something absolutely incredible happened at the Denver facility. A series of catastrophic die errors occurred that created some of the most visually stunning and valuable error coins in American history. And we're not talking about subtle errors that require a magnifying glass to see. We're talking about mistakes so dramatic, so obvious, that once you know what to look for, you'll spot them from across the room. The most famous and valuable 1980 D-penny error is the triple die obverse, an error so rare that fewer than a dozen specimens are confirmed to exist. And when I say triple die, I mean that Lincoln's portrait was essentially stamped 3 times in slightly offset positions, creating this mesmerizing, almost three-dimensional effect where you can see multiple ghosted images of the president's profile, the date, and all the inscriptions on the front of the coin. Imagine looking at Abraham Lincoln and seeing 2 or 3 shadow images of his face overlapping, creating this surreal, almost artistic appearance that's both beautiful and bizarre. But the errors don't stop there, because during 1980, the Denver Mint also produced pennies with massive off-center strikes, where the dies didn't align properly with the planchet, resulting in coins where the design is dramatically shifted to one side, leaving blank areas of metal visible and creating these wonderfully strange-looking pennies that look like mistakes even to the untrained eye. There are documented examples of 1980 D pennies struck 50% off-center, 70% off-center, and in one extraordinary case, a penny struck nearly 90% off-center where you can barely see any of the normal design elements. These coins look like abstract art pieces, and collectors go wild for them because they represent the chaos and unpredictability of the minting process. The history behind why these errors occurred is fascinating because 1980 was a year when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with new die manufacturing techniques and trying to increase production efficiency. And in that experimentation, in that push for speed and volume, quality control suffered in ways that created opportunities for these remarkable errors to escape into circulation. Mint workers were operating under tight deadlines. Dies were being used beyond their optimal lifespan to save money, and the inspection processes that should have caught these errors were either rushed or skipped entirely, allowing coins that should have been destroyed to mix in with millions of normal pennies and get shipped out to banks across the country. Now let's talk about the condition aspect because this is where things get even more interesting. While any 1980 D triple die or major off-center error has significant value, the coins that reach that $248 million stratosphere are specimens in perfect or near-perfect condition, coins that have been preserved in mint state, never circulated, never touched by human hands except when wearing gloves, stored in climate-controlled environments in professional coin holders that prevent any oxidation or damage. These are coins that look exactly as they did the moment they left the coining press 45 years ago, with full original mint luster, sharp strike details, and absolutely no signs of wear. And when one of these museum-quality error coins comes up for auction, collectors from around the world compete fiercely, driving prices to levels that make headlines in financial news outlets. The grading process for these coins is incredibly detailed. Professional graders at PCGS or NGC will examine every millimeter of the coin's surface under high-powered microscopes, looking for even the tiniest imperfections, counting every microscopic mark or spot, assessing the sharpness of the strike, evaluating the eye appeal, and then assigning a numerical grade that can mean the difference between a coin worth thousands versus one worth millions. A 1980 D triple die penny graded MS 67 might sell for $500,000, but that same coin in MS 69 condition could fetch multiple millions. And if you somehow found one graded MS 70, which means absolutely flawless perfection, you'd be looking at astronomical sums that would change your family's financial future for generations. There's also another incredible error type found on 1980 D pennies called the wrong planchet error, where pennies were accidentally struck on planchets intended for dimes, creating coins that are the wrong size, wrong weight, and have a completely different metallic composition. These are called off-metal strikes. And they're considered some of the most desirable error types in all of numismatics because they represent such a fundamental breakdown in the minting process that they shouldn't even be possible. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet. So it's smaller than a normal penny, silvery in color instead of copper, and yet it clearly shows the Lincoln penny design. These coins are mind-blowing to look at, and collectors treat them like holy grails, with auction prices that consistently shatter expectations and set new records. The stories of people finding these coins are the stuff of legend in the collecting community. There's the famous case of a convenience store cashier in Ohio who noticed an unusual-looking penny in her register, set it aside out of curiosity, and later discovered it was a 1980 D triple die worth enough to buy a house. Or the retired teacher in Florida who inherited her father's coin collection and found a 1980 D off-center strike that funded her grandchildren's college educations. These aren't fairy tales or urban myths. These are real documented cases of ordinary people whose lives were transformed by paying attention to their pocket change. And that could be your story if you take the time to look carefully at the coins passing through your hands every single day. The psychological thrill of the hunt is what keeps collectors obsessed with searching. There's something deeply satisfying about the possibility that financial freedom could be hiding in plain sight, mixed in with worthless common coins, requiring nothing more than knowledge and attention to discover. And that democratization of opportunity is what makes coin collecting such a beautiful hobby. You don't need to be wealthy to find a valuable coin. You don't need connections or special access. You just need to look, to learn, and to believe that lightning can strike, and that you could be the lucky one who makes the next great discovery. The market dynamics around these rare 1980 D pennies are fascinating because as awareness spreads through videos like this one, through social media, through word of mouth, more and more people start checking their coins, which means more specimens get discovered and authenticated. But paradoxically, this doesn't lower prices. Instead, it increases demand because once people see what's possible, once they witness the reality of these astronomical values, they become obsessed with adding these coins to their own collections, creating this perpetual upward pressure on prices that benefits anyone lucky enough to own one. The authentication and certification process has become more sophisticated over the years, with grading companies using advanced technology like spectroscopy to verify the metallic composition, high-resolution imaging to document every surface detail, and secure tamper-evident holders that protect the coin and guarantee its authenticity to future buyers. And this professional infrastructure gives buyers confidence and allows sellers to realize maximum value for their treasures. When you examine a 1980 D triple die penny under magnification, the experience is genuinely awe-inspiring. You can see the mechanical violence of the minting process, the way metal flows and deforms under extreme pressure, the subtle variations in how the die impressions overlap, and you realize you're looking at a frozen moment in industrial history. A tangible artifact of human error and mechanical chaos that somehow became art and fortune combined. The copper-plated zinc composition of these pennies means they're susceptible to environmental damage, so preservation is critical. Coins exposed to moisture can develop ugly green corrosion. Coins handled with bare fingers accumulate oils and residues that cause spotting, and coins stored in improper holders can get scratched or damaged, which is why serious collectors invest in proper storage supplies, archival quality holders, and climate-controlled environments to protect their investments. For those of you watching right now, the actionable advice is simple but powerful. Start checking your coins today. Go through that jar of pennies you've been ignoring. Ask your bank for rolls of pennies to search through. Check your car's cup holders and couch cushions. Look through old wallets and purses, because the 1980 D penny worth $248 million could literally be anywhere. And the only thing standing between you and life-changing wealth is your willingness to actually look. The community resources available to help you identify these coins are incredible. There are detailed guides online showing exactly what the triple die looks like, comparison photos that let you match your coins against known specimens, forums where experts will help you evaluate your finds, and YouTube channels dedicated to teaching people how to spot valuable errors. So you have no excuse not to educate yourself and start hunting. The legacy of the 1980 D Lincoln penny in numismatic history is secure. These coins represent a perfect storm of rarity, dramatic visual appeal, historical significance, and market demand that has created value levels previously thought impossible for modern circulating coinage. And as years pass and more specimens get permanently locked away in museums and elite private collections, the remaining discoverable examples become even more valuable, creating this accelerating appreciation that benefits anyone with the foresight to search and the luck to find. So remember, every single penny you encounter could be the one, could be your $248 million ticket to freedom, and all it takes is a moment of attention, a careful examination, and the knowledge you've gained from this video. Now get out there and start searching, because somewhere out there, your fortune is waiting, hiding in plain sight among ordinary coins, just waiting for someone with the vision to recognize its extraordinary value.